RC Command leads the way. Nick here with part 2 of the I just bought this RC rock bouncer, now what series. This series comes after I've had a few people hit me up and say, Nick, I just spent thousands of dollars on this RC rock bouncer. I want to race, so what do I do next? Basically, I'm just going to go over some of the highlights because I want all of y'all to be educated for when you do make a big purchase like this. So whether the project is brand new or used, I will always make a list of components that I need to check, that I want to go over, and make sure that I'm checking those off as I go along. I find that it saves me a lot of time, and so I'm not going back over things. I'm not reordering components that I might already have. Getting organized is step number one for sure. Ultimately, with this series, I wanted to go over some things that I really haven't covered on my channel before, and most of that has to do with the chassis. Now, let's be honest, if you go and spend a couple $1,000s on an RC rock bouncer and get it back to the house, you know, and there's a ring and pinion that needs to be replaced, or you know, an axle that's broken or bent that you need to replace, or whatever, those things are pretty easy to get. One thing that's not, though, is the chassis, and that is going to be my focus on this video. New or used, painted or powdered, you should be able to tell right off the bat whether the welds are boogered on there or not. You want to pay attention to all of the joints. Definitely the suspension mounts, the tabs for the shocks, all of that stuff is going to be important to pay attention to when you're going over your new machine. Now, I have always been a firm believer that a shock and suspension mounts and all of that should be double shear. I have been made a believer recently working with Weasel Motorsports in that RC cars don't necessarily have to be double shear, but you will get bonus points from me if you build a chassis and incorporate double shear mounts for shocks or suspension links, limiting straps. Maybe not so much limiting straps, but double shear is definitely the first thing that I look for. So in competitive RC rock bouncing, there's basically two setups that you can have when it comes to the skid. One can be a skid that was used from a factory RC car like an Axial Wraith, Bomber, the Axial Rift, or you can go skidless, which is what you're looking at now. I prefer skidless. I feel like the builder has more control over the suspension geometry, how the transmission is mounted, and so on. As you can see, the standard buggy here has some protection that Sam from RC Fabricatory built in to kind of protect the motor a little bit. Another nice feature that chassis builders can do for you is incorporate mounts for your ESC. And in this case, for the standard, Sam built me a battery cage. Basically, that's a 4S battery shorty pack can fit into, and I can secure it in there with Velcro of some sort. To some, this might be an extra add-on, but you know, for those of us that take this stuff very serious, it's important to keep that weight down low, and it's important to be able to secure your electronics. I do hope that this was helpful for some of y'all. I will be tearing this thing down and continuing with race prep for the King of the Mountain RC Bouncer Finals up there in New Hampshire. So y'all stay tuned, be watching for that next episode. RC Command leads the way.